everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Sportsmen. Today it is Joseph, Peter DeMar, and myself. Last week it was Mikey V and Peter Joseph DeMar. So it looks like we're all
Yeah,
taking turns, taking a day off, except for Iron Man over there.
I'm sure a lot of people would be like, this guy needs to kick rocks and take an episode off. We could use a little less of the Joey D effect and a whole lot more of the Ticket and Villani show.
I tell you what, you're the heart and soul of the show. I don't think I think people were fine with. I saw a few people who were fine with me gone last week, but
No, don't say that. Some
there's
people just
plenty of
like the
people that missed
show.
me too. But
I
also, I was legitimately sick. I mean, you didn't even see me on this trip I was on. I was pretty much gone after the first day, and I still have a cough. You're gonna hear it during this fucking episode. I can't kick this thing. I mean, I feel fine, but I
yeah,
this cough just is unrelenting.
it's a lingering. Maybe it's a black lung. Maybe it's just all those
It
hours
is.
sitting next to that computer, just vaping away. It's finally caught up to you.
Sure. That's
Poor
the
little
thing
Ticket.
is when I'm not working or like when I'm doing anything else, I don't vape anywhere near as much. It's like this thing that I don't even notice I'm doing when I'm working. It's like kind of like coffee too.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
to say I'm like just drinking it, and then when I put the computer down, I realize I've had 10 cups of coffee and I'm like shaking.
I
And it's
wonder
sort of the same thing.
between the cigars, the
Hmm.
coffee, the vaping over the last 4 years, your body has been absolutely pummeled.
Yeah, my body's taking a beating. And you know what? It's still not in bad
Not like
shape,
mine isn't. No, you're actually, by the way, you've been in great shape. You lost what, 25 pounds?
I
You
mean, I
look
lost a
great.
decent. I didn't lose 25, but I lost a good amount of weight.
Well, it was
I
15 to 20 at one point.
definitely had some motivation there for a minute, but it was also I haven't smoked the cigars for a while. There was a
No, but
period
there
of
was
like 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 months where I was smoking a ton of cigars, and the vaping only came involved to quit the cigars, and now it's borderline a bigger problem than the cigars
but
were.
is it worse than cigars? I can't
I have
imagine it's
no
worse.
idea. The only reason I picked it up is because I could do it inside, and like you can't smoke cigars
It
inside
also
unless
smells
you're
a
a
lot
scumbag.
better.
Sure,
You
yeah.
smell a lot less like a degenerate who's just smoked an entire stogie midday than if you got a raspberry watermelon fucking vape going on.
Listen,
Like, that's not that bad.
it was COVID. We all picked up some nasty habits, and that was mine. Okay, that was.
I was eating like a fucking absolute madman. We used to meet, I told you, me, Bob, and then Saquon's manager's cuz, cuz, he
Yeah.
would come over and we would just order. He would order like, I don't even know how much food it would
I
be.
remember I
Like,
came over one time to drop off because I was making sourdough too. That was a good habit I picked
yeah,
up.
that was a
I
great habit.
I dropped off a sourdough to you, and you guys had been playing poker the night before, and he had ordered Bay Cities, the sandwich place, the great sandwich place in LA, and you guys had hundreds of sandwiches. And you're like, you want a
Oh, it was
sandwich?
absurd.
It
It
was
was absolutely absurd.
Yeah. You had a much better time during COVID than I did. I was locked away with I had all kinds of problems. You look like you were having more fun during COVID than you were when
I was
before
golfing
COVID.
like crazy. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
golfing like crazy.
Kind of sets you on the path for the career that you have now.
Some would say.
Some would
Some
say.
would say.
Some would say. Anyway, I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. That's kind of why I'm chatting you up here.
No, it's good.
How you been?
I've been okay. I've been here. I mean, you've been working like crazy. I mean, I feel like I invited you
My
out to
answer is
do dinner the other day, but like, and
yeah.
even like wanted to have you come and watch the game, but like,
Right.
understandably so. You're a busy man. You're working. You're editing videos. I mean, you're putting in that time, man. So, you know, who am I? I'm not gonna get in the way of that. Like, I have mad respect for that, but I miss it too. I would love to go and catch a movie. I haven't seen a
Mm.
movie since I moved to Florida. I have not gone to the movie theaters, not once.
I don't think I've seen a movie since before COVID, dude.
Are you serious?
Not in theaters. I haven't gone to and I used to go once
Do
a
me a
week.
favor. When you finally finish that behemoth of an episode of FP versus Grant, well, however
Yeah.
many hours you have left to finish that, do yourself a favor, plop down on the couch if there's no sports on, like later tonight, and
Okay.
watch Dune, and then tell me what you think, and then you got to watch Dune too, because I
Okay.
think you will love it.
You think I'll like Dune 1, 2? You think I'll like that one
The
as well?
first one's great. It's a great preface into the second movie. Now, Bob messaged me the other day and he's like, "Do you think I'd like Dune 2?" And I was like, "Well, have you watched the first one?" He's like, "No." I was like, well, for starters, maybe you might want to watch the first movie
Hmm.
before you skip ahead to the second, because
That's
you're gonna
fair.
be lost. Secondly, I told Bob I can't imagine a movie you would hate more than a sci-fi Star Wars style movie as Dune
Yeah.
2.
He hates
Um,
shit that's not real.
he
Like
went ahead
that's
and still he went ahead and watched it still. He goes, this was a big mistake.
I mean, I can't imagine he got more than 15 minutes into it anyway, so I'm sure he didn't lose a lot of time. And you know what? That guy's got nothing but time. You think he's rich in money? He's rich in time, this guy. It's unbelievable.
What are those hourglass things with the sand? If he
Yeah.
had a real one for his day, it would be like a skyscraper. That's
Yeah.
how big it would be. It would just had infinite amounts of sand. Like you could fit the whole Sahara Desert in that thing, and it would just be slowly pouring away, just indicating how much time
Do you
Bob
remember that
has in
old
his.
Justin Timberlake movie where like everyone time was currency and everyone had it on their wrist and the way you would pay for things was time? This guy would have 100 years on
Oh,
his
he'd be
wrist, dude.
Bezos. He'd be.
It's true. I mean, I don't blame him about the Dune thing too, by the way. The only thing I hate more than, I hate when someone's like, listen, Dune 2's great. You got to get through the first one, and then the second one's great. It's like, okay, so I have to kill 2 hours before I can get to
But
the
no,
good
he didn't
shit.
even ask me about that. He didn't even say how
Yeah.
was the first one. He just said, should I watch Dune 2?
Right.
Would
Right.
you ever would you ever go and just like skip to the second movie of like it'd be like watching the
No.
trilogy of Star Wars and just going straight to the third one. You have no idea who the characters are, what the backdrop is, what the plot
Mhm.
is. Like you're starting off. I mean, I don't know. It's a wild play.
No, I wouldn't do that. I just wouldn't watch it. I wouldn't even have asked you because he should know that he's not going to like that movie. All right, let's get into some sports. Let's start with I mean, there's a lot going on with the NBA and the NHL, but I want to start with the PGA Championship coming up. This is coming out tomorrow morning, the morning of the PGA Championship. Our good
Yeah.
friend Fat Perez is there today. I don't know if he's going to be there tomorrow, but if you're around and you're going, look for the big fella. Say hi to him. Maybe you'll get a fist bump. Probably not much more than that, but maybe you'll get that. Joe, what do you think about this championship? Who do you like to win? Who are your top 10 guys?
Top 10. Oh my God. I was
Who
gonna
do you
give
who
it
do you like to
two.
finish in the top 10 and who do you like to win?
So Brooks Koepka, reigning champion,
Right?
returns. This is in Valhalla. I've read some stuff on the course. Perez actually played it, said it's great. Doesn't seem like a terribly long course. So now coming off the last tournament, which Rory just won at Quail Hollow. And you saw it was kind of like a two-man race to kind of finish off, that tournament between him and Xander, and everybody else was kind of at the, way behind. And Rory had a significant advantage just because of how long he hits the ball. He was taking different paths, different, off the tee. He was going, like so aggressive over the trees and stuff. It was leaving him with way shorter yardages in on his second shot, and that definitely gave him an advantage. This golf course today, I was looking it up. That's not going to be the case. Like the way that the course plays, the way the greens are, the way that like you have to attack the greens in certain direct, like you can't be overly aggressive. So I think it's going to be a really close field going down to the final day. I think it's going to be like a tight one. I don't think you're going to see a 1 or 2 man race like on the final day with no one else around. And it's a major. So you got everybody and anyone, all the live players. Well, not all the live players, but the major ones. You got Brooks coming back. You got, John Rahm coming out. So it's like you're going to have
Yeah.
some big time players and some competitive edge. Bryson looked really good at the Masters. So we'll see how he can continue. So I'm excited to watch it. I got to say, though, that watching Rory win last week and seeing how well he was putting, and just when he dials it all in, like when he figures it out and he has his game just, from start to finish, like dialed in, he is someone who I definitely would anticipate could make a play to win this tournament. And then you couple that with the fact that he
Wow.
just filed for divorce. I don't
Yeah.
know if you heard about that.
I feel
So
like
maybe
yesterday
he's
or something.
playing with a little bit of an edge. Who knows? But I actually like him. I would take him top 10 for sure. I think he's going to make a play to win. Now he is heavily favored. I think after Scotty Scheffler, he's like the second highest favorite. So, that's kind of a chalky pick, but I do think that he carries anytime you win a tournament and you're coming off a high and you're feeling good about your game, there's a little bit of that momentum that you carry in, especially to a major. So it would be nice to see him in the mix. I also feel like, Scheffler, I don't think he's gonna I know he's been on a crazy crash collision through the PGA. I don't think he's gonna win this tournament. I think he'll be in the
Wow.
mix. But for what I think he's plus 330 to win the tournament. He
Yeah,
just had
plus
a baby,
300. Yeah.
he's got a lot going on. Hasn't played golf in a couple weeks. I would say that I would go with Rory top 10. One guy who I really like um, is this Ludwig Oberg.
Yeah, he's
Guy has
good.
been playing with a lot of confidence. He's been playing really good. I mean, we saw what he did at his first major at the Masters in Augusta, and this is now going to be his second major. I think he's going to come out. He's going to have confidence. I think he's going to be fine. I'm looking it up right now. I think he's plus 1200. So go ahead and lock me in for him as somebody to put in to potentially win. And the other guy who I would take, and again, it's not like he's chalk, but he's up there. I think John Rahm has a big bounce back. I
That's
really
my
do.
pick. Yeah.
I really think that he is such a
Yeah.
competitive guy, and he really kind of fell short. A lot of people had him winning the Masters. A lot of people thought he was going to be, one of the front runners to win it, and he really just kind of fell short. And I think that really sat with him and didn't sit well with him, is what I should say. And even if you heard his interview the other day, it sounds like he's eager to get back and to be playing back in, a PGA tournament. It sounds like he misses it. I think there's that competitive nature that he really enjoyed. And I think now that he's away from it, I think he's going to come out. I think he's got a lot to prove. And I think you're going to see him really fire off. I would put him top three I'd even pick him to potentially win it. I think he's really going to come out firing.
Yeah, I agree. John Rahm was going to be my pick to win this thing. Or, I mean, I just really like, especially where his odds are. I got him plus 1400. The way
Yeah.
I mean, he was so frustrated at the Masters. He was clearly angry with the way he had kind of been playing and the way he had let himself go a little bit. I
Yeah.
just don't see a world where a guy who's that competitive and has that much talent and that much power and just that good of a player not bouncing back for a big moment like this when he doesn't have many stages anymore because no one watches live. So, I mean, this is a big moment for him. And so was
Yeah.
the Masters. And I think being that disappointed combined with the fact that he's that competitive, I think is going to drive him to, like you said, top three. But I'm going to throw some money on him even just to win this thing. Another one that I like, I mean, I like a lot of these guys who
Do
have been
you
finishing in the top five to finish top five. Morikawa, maybe even Max
Morikawa is just
Homa.
so hit or miss. So that's the thing, is sometimes he looks really good, and then other times he's just
Well,
horrendous.
trust
How
me,
do
I
you
ain't picking this
feel?
guy to win. I'm picking him
Oh,
to, oh,
another
don't
guy
do
who I
that.
would pick who just keeps getting in the top five, top 10, but just can't seal the deal is Xander Schauffele. Like
Oh yeah. Guy
it's
refuses to win
I love the
anything.
guy to death, but I feel like if you get down to the final day and like Xander's either tied for the lead or right there, I would take whoever else is in the field there because
Oh yeah.
he's not closing. And I mean, good on him. He's still making a fortune. But how do you feel about Brooks, the reigning PGA champion, coming back to defend his title? How do you feel he's going to do?
I don't think much of him. I kind of think this guy's past it. Jet and I have a theory that like most PGA guys have this shelf life of like 2 great years and they're really on top of your game and then you kind of slip and then another guy shows up for 2 years. Even if you look at guys like Jordan Spieth, his reign of dominance, his
Oh my God. Yeah.
reputation, precedes him for whatever reason. I guess because the narrative was just created, but he didn't have that many years of dominance. He was great for, yeah, like 2 years. And so that's, the Tigers and the Schefflers, those guys are the special ones that kind of break that mold. I just think Brooks has passed it. I just don't think he has it. I mean, he could finish in the top 10 for sure.
Yeah.
Could he win this thing? Yes. I don't expect him to make a big push. However, the narrative on TV, a lot of people seem to really like him. So, what do I know? But
This episode of The Sportsman is brought to you by BetterHelp. Guys, this year has gone so quickly. What's something you're proud of in 2024 so far? What's something you still want to accomplish this year? When life goes so fast, it's important to take a moment to celebrate your wins and make adjustments for the rest of the year. Therapy can help you take stock of your progress and set achievable goals for the next 6 months. Therapy is a safe space to get things off your chest and to figure out how to work through whatever's weighing you down. Therapy is also great for picking up good ways to deal with stuff and learning how to set boundaries. It's all about making you feel like you're on top of your game, not just for folks who have been through a lot of tough stuff. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule, which, let's face it, we all have busy schedules. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist that best fits you, and if you ever need to, you could switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Get it off your chest with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/sportsman today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/sportsman.
Who do you have a sleeper that you'd like to give? Like somebody who's like a high odds that you think could come in, just someone to dabble on and have, a good run at this thing?
I mean, I really like Wyndham Clark, but he's plus 2,500. He's not, I guess, the longest odds. A guy with some really long, I always love taking Sam Burns, but he always lets me down. Let me just take a look here. I mean, yeah, no one's
who I
talking about
have?
Dustin. I don't know. I guess my longest odds player that I'd like to potentially win this thing would be Wyndham Clark at plus 2,500.
I would give maybe top 10, or I mean, if you really want to dabble, just because the odds are so high to win, give me Cam Young plus 5,000.
Sure.
Guy came tied for ninth at the Masters, drives the hell out of the golf ball, and it seems like for so many tournaments, he's always kind of like lingering there up until the final day.
Yeah.
Like can put together some great rounds and just somehow, sometimes just misses or just can't get through that last day. But I actually think for plus 5,000 to win, I would dabble a little bit on that, like as a big time. I like him a lot. He drives the fuck out of the golf ball. And he's kind of sneaky, quietly good. Like he can put up good rounds and like kind of before you realize he's like on the leaderboard, like right there.
Sure. And how about a guy with even longer odds, Mr. Keegan Bradley? Could he show
That
up?
would be, I mean, he has won a PGA championship. He has won a major before. That would be sensational. I mean, that would be, I mean, that would be, I always think like the guys that we root for, and now Wyndham's in that camp because of John Ellis, supporting the boys with the Have a Day brand, and the Breezy, caddy. He's one of a few that we have. But I always think like if any of the guys that we root for are like legitimately in it for the last day to win, that's just, it makes it so much more fun, man. So for Taylor Moore with Big Wave, for John Ellis and Wyndham Clark, Scotty Vail and Keegan Bradley. And, I always kind of root for Homa too, because I kind of feel like he's in our camp as well. But any of those guys, it's fun. Xander as well. But I tell you what, man, it would be awesome to watch Keegan win it. That would be sensational.
Yeah, it would. The only thing
his odds? It's got to be ridiculous.
Keegan's plus 8,500.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Go ahead and throw $20 on that.
Hey, you know what's crazy is I don't understand how these golf odds work. Like why is Brooks Koepka this week so heavily favored in during the Masters week? Like I don't know like how they come up.
No,
how do they
but
get
some golf courses play to the strengths of certain golfers. So I think there's an element of that. Like,
right.
If you have a place like Augusta with the greens are probably more difficult than, some of these other places, like a guy who's a really good putter, for example, or who's been putting really well might shoot up higher in the ranks than other ones. To be honest, I'm talking like I know, I don't. At the bottom line is I don't know. I'm just I would imagine that like when these odds makers are looking at it, they're looking at the golfer, where they rank with, certain areas that would play to their advantage on the course where they're playing.
Makes sense.
And based on that, they would say that, their attributes would put them in a position to be more successful than say someone else. But at the end of the day, it's a crapshoot. That's why if you're picking golfers to win, I mean, unless you're picking Scotty Scheffler this year, which has been very profitable, like you're not going to really make money on that. I almost would recommend picking like top 20, top 30,
Oh
or even
yeah.
top 10,
That's where the
and
real
then
money is. Yeah.
wait till like you're on the Saturday, and then see where you're at, and then pick a winner. Because then, you could still pick a guy who's, 6, 7 strokes back and get some
Hmm.
pretty good odds, and he can go on a tear, and you could still get really rewarded well. But you're betting a guy plus 8,500. I mean, like,
Yeah, I agree. And it's just more fun to watch, like when you pick a guy on Saturday and Sunday too, because he might
yeah.
be in it. Also, the most fun you can have in golf is picking the daily matchups. That
Oh, that's the
as
best.
fun as it
Yeah.
gets. And then
The
if you
only problem
really
with that is sometimes getting the TV coverage is annoying as all hell, because if you have a guy
yeah,
that they're not really showing, it's hard. Now with the Masters, I always do that because you go on the Masters app and you can follow along any player on that app. You can
true.
watch what they're hitting. So it makes it good instead of going on like ESPN where it's not as great, but that is actually the most fun to
Yeah,
bet. And a lot of people don't even know about that. Like a lot of people, like I
yeah.
don't think we really found out about betting golf matchups until like, a couple years ago. And then it was like, oh my God, I could bet this guy versus this guy, like it makes it really interesting.
Yeah, I usually pick the guys on the ESPN featured groups. I try to pick guys in there so I can watch it.
That's
But
smart.
yeah, I mean, but you don't always love those matchups, but you have to
Big
watch it.
ticket bets used to make a hefty little
Sure.
return on those matchups. He used to.
Speaking of the cigars, I would sit outside, have a cigar, and I would live stream. And what I would do then was I would bet per hole. I would be like,
I don't know what book you had that you could do that, but that's awesome.
yeah, it was like one of those overseas books, and you could bet per hole, like Rory McIlroy is gonna par, birdie, or eagle, or bogey on this hole. Or you could do just per hole, like if he's paired with Taylor Gooch, you could be like, are they going to tie the hole? Is Rory going to win the hole? Is Taylor
Oh,
going to?
that
And
is a
that is
wild ride.
degenerate shit. But it was a hell of a way to spend your day. It
It's almost
was
like the Jet when he used to do touchdown field goal prop bets for every
sure.
drive during a football game.
Sure. I would do that with football too, like next touchdown score. Like if it was the Eagles, I'd be like next touchdown score, Devonta Smith, or next scoring outcome will it be a field goal. Will the Eagles get the next score? And you'd like to pick the Eagles when the other team has the ball because you get the better odds. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to
Wow.
slice that thing, but I've like reined it way back. I don't even really gamble that much, to be honest. But there was a period there where I was trying to I was trying to do something with it. But anyway, we've got NBA playoffs to talk about. Joey D, I mean, I think the talk of the town is are these Celtics. How do you feel about these Celtics? I mean, they look fucking good, dude. I think Jason Tatum shut a lot of people up. He scored 30 points in a bunch of playoff games. They've hardly lost. I think they've lost 2 games
Well,
since the playoffs started.
they lost against Cleveland the second game after they
Correct.
blew the doors off of them game one.
But Cleveland went nuts that game. Other
I
than
know,
that
but I'm
one
saying I
game.
think everybody just thought they were going to mop the floor with them.
Sure.
They came back and win, and now Boston won convincingly the last 2 games in Cleveland. I mean, that series is done. 3-1 going back to Boston. That is done. Dude, they're a well-rounded team. Now they just need Porzingis to get back. I don't know
Yeah.
what his timeline looks like. But I'll tell you what, man, that's a well-rounded team. They got guys who step up. Drew Holiday, by the way,
Yeah.
is a fun player to watch. Like if you're a Celtics fan, that's a fun guy to have on your team because he plays so hard on both ends of the floor. Like he plays as hard defensively as he does offensively. And I will watch him. He'll go up and snag a rebound from a defender and kick it out. And within one play, he's got a rebound and assist. And then he'll come down the floor the next time, just toss up a three. Like he can do it
Yeah.
all. And then I really love watching that Pritchard play. He plays with a ton of emotion and a ton of like just effort on every play. But yeah, dude, when you have a tandem like Jason Tatum, and then you got Jaylen Brown as your number 2, who could be arguably a one on on at least most teams. That is just it's tough to come back from that. So I think if Porzingis, I don't know when he's out till, but with Porzingis there, I mean, then they got the big man down low. They are as hard a team to beat as anyone in the league. They got to be easily
Yep.
favored to win. I will tell you a team that I've been enjoying watch and I've been rooting for quite a lot is the New York Knicks.
Oh, come
And
on.
no, it's a fun. I know that they beat your Philly, your Phillies, your Philadelphia 76ers, and I know that they
But you're
trash
rooting
talking
for
me.
them? You're
No, I'm rooting for them to keep going into the net.
all
I think
right.
they'll get obliterated by the Celtics, so I don't think there's anything to worry about. But I will say that I think that playoff basketball is more exciting when the Garden is going off and like
Sure.
New York, like it's
I
it's
get it.
kind of a cool thing. So it's been fun watching them play. It looks like I don't know. No one can win on the road in that series, so maybe that goes to 7. But it looks like they just took a big game last night. And then the other series, which looked like everybody was like shocked, was Denver started out going 0-2 against Minnesota,
Mhm.
and then man, that team is it's a juggernaut. Man, that team just knows how to win. They come back, win both games in Minnesota, win last night. Now they're up 3-2, and it's like man, but Anthony Edwards to me is as fun a player to watch as anyone in the NBA. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Who do you think has the best chance moving forward? Because we didn't even touch on the Dallas series, but I don't really think Dallas or OKC is going to go through either Minnesota or the Nuggets.
No, but that Shy Gilgeous Alexander, what a fun player to
Oh, and
watch.
he's Canadian too, Tick.
Is he? I didn't know that. BC
Yeah,
guy?
I think he's from Ontario.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you what I like to win too, but real quick, do you think that Anthony Edwards, like if you had to do a fantasy draft right now, would you take Anthony Edwards in the top 3? Like you just take all the players in the league, like a fantasy.
I would take Jokic at 1.
Right. Well, that's not the question. The question, would you take Anthony
I would
Edwards
take
top
him.
3?
I would take him top 3. I think so.
Yeah.
The problem with him is like when he's on, he's the best. And then there's some
Mhm.
nights where like last night, I think he was like I think he finished with like what 17 points, or at one point he was like 3 for 14 shooting. It was like he'll just start tossing up, shots and getting turnovers. But I definitely think when he's on his game, he is a top 3 player.
Okay. And he's
I
so
mean,
young. I mean, there's a lot of upside there with how much more career he's got left
well,
ahead of
this
him.
this shade, this Gilgare, I can never pronounce it, like
Yeah, Gilgeous
Gilgis.
Alexander. Yeah, sure, you got it.
He is unbelievable too. I don't think he gets
Mhm.
nearly enough love.
I mean, I think he's one of the favorites for the MVP.
But I'm saying from the average from the average
Sure.
person who's just tuning in to watch basketball,
Okay.
like not an avid person who's watching, like I'm saying just like someone who will not watch much basketball and tune in during the playoffs, like be like, oh, what's the deal with, you know what I mean? Like it's
Hmm.
like he's playing in a market in Oklahoma. Like it's not exactly like, it's not like he's playing for a team like Boston or New York or like one of these big market teams. So, but
Hmm.
I think he's unbelievable. He is as good a scorer as anyone in the league right now.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, yeah, I agree with all that. Going back to just who I think might win. It's funny, like you mentioned earlier, Minnesota looked like they had just, Denver by the balls there. But now that Denver's storming back, it's almost kind of like, are they just gonna fucking win again?
Dude,
I'm kind of
Jokic,
starting to think that Denver is gonna win again. I think it's gonna be Denver Celtics, and I kind of think Denver's gonna win again.
Jokic just like those first 2 games, like they kind of figured it out and they were all over Murray, but like then all of a sudden Aaron Gordon looks like a superstar. And then,
Yeah.
like KCP will put up 15 to 20 points. And then out of nowhere now they got what's his name? Reggie Jackson. I mean, they got so many players, who can put up points and who can contribute. They are an absolute force. And then don't even forget Michael Porter Jr. I mean, that team is stacked. So I would probably agree with you, Tick. As good as the Celtics are, you have a guy like Jokic. What has he won the MVP now? 3 years going, I think. Is it
No,
his third?
Embiid won it last year, but
Oh,
yeah, I think
but
he won
he's
it
won it
twice. I think he
two
won
out
it
of the last
twice.
3 years, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
I mean, and he's just unbelievable. I mean, last night, I think he had his stat line last night. This was his stat
I
line.
mean,
He
yeah,
had
he's a
40
freak.
points. I mean, the guy's fucking unbelievable. So yeah,
Yeah.
I would say like when I was shocked when I saw them down. Look at this: 40.7 rebounds, 13 assists.
Wait, hey, how many rebounds?
He had 40 points.
40 points. Okay.
Uh, hold on. Here it is here. 40 points, 7 rebounds, 13 assists, 2 steals, 1 block.
Am I hearing you incorrectly? How many rebounds? Sounds like you're saying
7.
40. Oh, okay. Sounds
40
like you're
points,
40
7
points.
rebounds.
There you go. It sounded like you were saying 47 rebound. It was,
No,
anyway,
40
7 rebounds.
points. But he
You
had
know,
40
to
points
be
and
honest.
13 assists.
Yeah, I know he's a freak. He's a freak. He can do it
The
all.
guy
I mean,
he almost averages a triple-double. I mean, it's unbelievable.
right. Right.
And we didn't even talk about Doncic from fucking Dallas. I mean, the NBA is kind of saving face a little bit with this playoffs because the regular season was so bad, Tick, that like I was like, oh my God. But now like you're starting to get good series, good matchups. Like the NBA, like the playoffs is kind of like giving them another leg to stand on, I feel.
Yeah, I think they're definitely doing a good job right now. And I think a big part of it too is like you mentioned earlier, when the Knicks are good, basketball's doing pretty well. Like, and same with like the Celtics, the Lakers, when those teams are playing well, and that's true of a lot of sports. I think hockey's good, when the Rangers and the Bruins and teams like that are good, and probably Toronto as well. And
Good time to be a New
football,
York fan, man.
yeah, it really
The
is. So
Rangers look like they could be the best team in the league. The Knicks are playing great. I mean,
well,
the
let's
Yankees are first in the AL East.
yeah, fuck the Yankees.
They
Seriously,
look
fuck
good
them.
though, Tick. They look
Yeah,
good.
sure,
And that's
they
without
do.
Garrett Cole. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, when you spend $1 billion, you'd like to think that you're going to be first in the AL East. But anyway, let's move on to your Canucks here. Let's get into some hockey. They're making it a real series over there, man. Edmonton is they're really putting up a good fight there, man. I mean, what do you make of it? Do you like your odds here or what?
I think it's going to go to 7 games. I think it's a back and forth. Every game has finished as a one goal game.
Hmm.
It's it's interesting because I really thought the game was the first game we were in Nashville and I fucking fell asleep thinking that the game was over.
Yeah.
The Canucks stormed back, won the game. I missed it all. I was devastated, but I was thrilled at the same time. And then I've watched the last 3 games, and 2 of those 3 have been losses. So maybe I need to go back to sleep. I don't know. But I will tell you that, like last night, for example, I thought that the game was over. They were getting outplayed. Our goalie, who's our third string, this Archer Seelovs, has been playing outerworldly for a rookie who's kind of thrust into that position. And they were down 2-0 going into the third. They had shown really no definitive pressure or opportunity that they were going to score. Edmonton has put in their backup, this Calvin Pickard. It took Skinner out, and he looked solid for most of the game. So I was like, this game's just going to be a shitty finish. Sure enough, Connor Garland scores. It's 2-1. I'm like, all right. And then we pull our goalie, and this team, I will say, they have no quit in them. They fight till the bitter end. They score, they tie the game. It's almost 1 a.m. So Nicole's in bed. I'm like going nuts without trying to make any noise. Like, and I'm just finally sitting down, like texting. I'm putting up a tweet about how the Canucks are coming back. They have fight in them. They're going to do it in overtime. And I look up, and the Oilers score less than a minute later. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? Like 38 seconds left, they score, and of course that was it. So 2-2. I mean, if the Canucks could have somehow come back and won that game, I would have loved our chances of winning that series. We would have only need 1 win in the next 3 games. Now, listen, it's best of 3 now, or best of
Best of 3.
3. Yeah, best of 3. So Canucks have to go home. They have to win at home. If the Canucks lose the next game, it's over because the game that we won in Edmonton, we stole because our goalie played fucking magnificently. 45 shots, outshot to 18. We scored 4 goals on 18 shots. That's just not going to happen. So we got to go home. We got to put the ball back in our court. We got to win. And then we'll see. But I do think it's going to go to 7 games. I think it's going to be a barn burner. To be honest, and as much as it pains me to say, I think whoever wins the series is going to get blown out of the rink by the Dallas Stars. I think Dallas,
They look fucking
to
good.
me, they should have swept Colorado. The one game they lost, they were up 3-0. They took their foot off the pedal. and Colorado came back and won. I mean, Dallas looks fucking amazing from top to bottom. They are a great team. I think they were the second highest in points in the league after the Rangers. So I think whoever wins the series, the fact that we're beating each other up too so much, I think Dallas is going to pick us apart. But hey, I'd love to be there. I'd love to experience that if that's the case. So it comes back tomorrow night. The Canucks got to take care of business. I am very proud of the team, though, and I'd like to know what your thoughts are. But like for a team that nobody really anticipated doing anything, they came out. They've shown a ton of heart. It'd be nice if our fucking highest paid player in the fucking team, Elias Pettersson, would get his head out of his ass and start doing something. Because quite frankly, the guy looks like he's a fucking peewee hockey player that they've thrown out there. But Talkett's got the boys playing tough, and I'm really proud of them. And if they lose to Edmonton, they lose to Edmonton. But hey, we are literally 10 games away from winning Stanley Cup.
Sure, that's one way to look at it.
Or 2 games away from being eliminated.
And in the beginning of the season, you're only 95 games away from winning the Stanley Cup. So that's a very Joey D way to look at it. If they win and they beat Edmonton and they play Dallas, would you consider going to Dallas for a game? Years ago, you went to Dallas for a Packers playoff game. Would you do the same thing for the Canucks? Maybe take a little trip to Dallas, or no?
I have to go to Vancouver at the end of May, anyways, for a wedding.
Oh,
so I would probably see if the stars aligned. I would probably see if I could maybe catch a game in Vancouver. Would probably be more likely. But if not, I mean, I would definitely what I dream about, which would be like best case scenario, is the Canucks make it out of the West, the Panthers make it out of the fucking East, and then we go to Fort Lauderdale and watch the Canucks play the Panthers in the Stanley Cup Finals. How about that? You and me, Tick.
Well, you already dangled that carrot. We were supposed to be at the game last night with the Bruins.
I know it would have been an unbelievable
the Panthers
game
in Fort Lauderdale, but we, you sort of dangled that carrot, and then you were like, you stopped. You were not interested after you said it. Once the words left your mouth, anytime I would bring it up, you just were like, yeah, maybe.
I had to go to the dentist yesterday, and it was just like, it was not the day. But I am 100% down to do that. I would love to watch some playoff hockey with the Tick, and it's Fort Lauderdale's an hour and 20 minutes away. It's not that far.
I know it's not far. That was the whole point. That was the whole point. Yeah, and then we can hop over to the Seminole afterwards. We'll gamble. We'll make some money, hopefully. And but that would have been so fun, because it's probably the best series going.
What is the game 7? If the Bruins win, it's going back there.
Yeah. When would game 7? Probably Saturday. No, game 6 is Friday.
Hold on here. They would play the 19th. It'd be Sunday.
Right. Which we could do. Got to
My
root for these
sister's in town.
Got to root for these Bruins now, man. You got to do what you hate to do. You got to root for these Bruins.
The Panthers win and we go to the next round.
Yeah, I'd like to see the Bruins though. You know.
Yeah,
I Anyway, okay, moving on. Well,
but before we move on, I would like to get your take on who do you think is the best remaining team in the NHL and the Stanley Cup Finals? Like,
I mean, Dallas and New York look like the two obvious answers. The Rangers just look incredible. I kind of don't think anyone.
Although they blew it, like they had an opportunity to close out Carolina and they couldn't do it.
Yeah, but that's a classic 3-1 thing to do. When you're up 3-1 in a series, you kind of take the foot off the pedal a little bit. I think it's not a smart thing to do. However, that's a very classic thing to do. I think they come back next game and absolutely wipe the floor with Carolina.
Really?
Carolina.
Is that a ticket guarantee?
That's a guarantee. Sure.
Whoa!
Sure.
I might have to jump on that. I haven't had a ticket guarantee since the bigger ticket bets.
Yeah, which is a long time ago when I gave you UCLA in the March Madness. And
what did they made in the Final Four?
Final Four that year, sure. Yeah, that was a long time ago. I mean, who are you picking to win the whole thing? You like the Rangers too?
I mean, I think top to bottom, I think the Rangers are the team to beat. I mean, they look unbelievable. I mean, listen, they have scoring every which way. You know, Kreider. And then Zibanejad, and then they have Panarin.
Panarin is such a piece of shit, dude. I mean, I hope if he listens,
Trouba, by the way, Trouba.
If he's against you, he's such a pest.
Trouba and Fox, and I mean all these guys. They got
Is that
Kreider. I
young
mean,
guy that fights all the time? He is a
oh
real
yeah,
menace. Whatever that guy's.
Lafreniere or no, what the fuck
No,
is
no,
his
no, no,
name?
no. Matt Rempe.
Rempey, yeah.
Oh,
But
talk
then,
about it.
but then they got Shesterkin in the net, who's
Yeah,
unbelievable too. I mean,
yeah, he is great.
they're a difficult team.
Very much so. So, are you picking them, or who are you taking? Dallas? Who do you like?
Give me the Vancouver. No, I'm just joking.
I mean, it's not a bad pick. I think they can definitely do it.
I'm gonna say this. I think the Vancouver Canucks are gonna win this series against Edmonton. I
Mhm.
think Dallas is gonna beat us in 5. I think on the East, so I think Dallas is going to Stanley Cup. I think on the East, I think the Rangers take care of Carolina. And I do think that the Panthers take care of the Bruins.
Okay.
I am then going to go with the Florida Panthers to take out the New York Rangers and then the Florida Panthers to win the Stanley Cup.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, that's great.
I, as much as I just talked about how great New York is, I honestly think that Florida, they made a Stanley Cup run last year. This team is awesome. They are really fucking good. And
Mhm.
they've just got great, they got, I mean, Barkov and Verhage, and I mean, and Reinhardt's been one of the best players in the NHL this year. They've got so many guys who can do it. Bobrovsky's a great goalie. Montour on the back end. I
Mhm.
actually like the Panthers. I'll take the Florida Panthers as kind of like an upset team to win the Stanley Cup. I won't go
If
chalk.
Florida Panthers end up winning the Stanley Cup and we don't make it to one fucking
We
game,
will go. We will go. We will go. We
I'm
will
gonna
go.
lose it.
We will go. We will go.
We
will go.
will. I know. And we're gonna go to the
Have
Seminole.
you ever
We're
been
not
to a
driving
Stanley?
back up. We're going to the
No,
set. We're
no,
staying at the
no.
Seminole.
Oh, some. But Ticket, have you ever been
Yeah.
to a Stanley Cup game?
Like a playoff game?
No, like a Stanley Cup game.
Like a Stanley
Like a
Cup
Stan.
finals game?
Yes,
No, I haven't.
it
No, I've
is.
been to a Flyers game in
Now,
the playoffs, but I've never been to a Stanley Cup
it's
finals.
incredible when you're cheering for your team. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
like if we went to watch the Panthers, now if we were watching the Panthers Canucks,
Yeah,
I
no,
mean
that'd be great
that
too.
would,
I just want to
but
go to a
being in
Stanley
that
Cup
the
finals game.
environment and the building when you're in the Stanley Cup finals game, the building, the environment, it's like nothing else. It's rocking.
I'll take a conference finals game. You know, with this, the whole thing is like, you know, when you eat a chip with dip and it's like the chip really is just a vehicle for the dip. It's like this playoff game is really just sort of like a vehicle to get me in that Seminole casino. That that's really what's happening here. I need an excuse, so I'm not just driving to Fort Lauderdale just for the
You know what?
casino.
We could use some quality time spent together. We're
Been a
due.
while. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we're
been a
due. We're
while.
due.
It's
We're
been a
due.
while. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. All right, Joseph, let's move on to viewer questions. Good episode so far. We miss Mikey V. He'll be back next week. And one of these days, maybe we'll get Mr. Robbie Berger on, and we will certainly have the chat. I
Yeah.
kind of like the rotating chairs thing, but I don't like when we miss a guy. I like there to be at least 3 people. You got a
I
question?
Well, no, I'm going to quickly do who's a problem. I just very quickly because I think we should.
Okay.
It's more like
All right.
what's a problem, and for the what's a problem or who's a problem, I'm going to go with the NHL on trying. And I put a tweet out, and I really believe it. And the one game that stood out to me, and it happened again last night, the goaltending interference. This whole notion of this is interfering with the goalie from making the play, or this isn't, this should be called back, or this shouldn't. It's kind of becoming like the new pass interference call in the NFL. It's so kind of objective, and it's really problematic because they never used to do that. And now they're taking goals away. So now it's like you saw the game where, Bennett from Florida fucking pushes the one defender into Swayman, and then he scores on the empty net to tie the game for Florida 2 games ago. And then last night, the same thing is there was interference with Bobrovsky. He couldn't make the save, and they didn't call it. So it's kind of like, but then there's other games where they calling goals back, and it's just like there's no. I don't know what your thoughts on it are, but to me, it's just there's no consistency, and it's something that's starting to fall away from them. So they got to really figure it out and set parameters. Like this is what constitutes a goaltending interference call, and this is what isn't. And then the problem is that these teams then are challenging it. And if you lose a challenge in the hockey, in the hockey game, then you have a penalty. So you go from potentially either getting a goal called back or not, and then going on the penalty kill as well. It's very detrimental, and it needs to be addressed. And I would like to know what your thoughts on that are very quickly. But to me, I think it is becoming a problem.
I mean, it's a difficult thing. It's very similar, like in the NFL, like roughing the passer. There's sort of loose on what the actual parameters of that is, and it's sort of a subjective call by the referees. And there's always going to be an element of subjectiveness to it, depending on the guy. So I don't know what the answer is. I mean, you would probably know a lot more being a former goaltender, and you would probably have more opinions on it. When you were a goaltender and that would happen with you, I mean, how did you feel that should be called?
I mean, I was not playing in the NHL. They weren't doing video
No,
reviews.
but there was
So
still goalie interference. I'm sure you got
I'll
run
tell you
into.
what, anytime someone came near my crease, I would either be fucking clocking them from the back, or if they did hit me, I was just doing a yard sale, just flopping like fucking all hell broke loose, so
Sure.
that the ref would see the embellishment, because you're never going to call a penalty for diving. So, chances are a lot of the time they either called the penalty. There was a couple times where the ref told me to fuck myself and called the goal because
Is that
goal
true?
happened.
Because you flopped?
Well, no, there was one or two occasions where something like that happened, and instead of like staying strong, I kind of just blew a tire and just went flying, and then they scored a goal. And
Mm.
I would think that they would call it back or give a penalty, and they didn't. So I kind of stopped doing that after a while. Kind of
Yeah.
backfired.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. If it doesn't work, to find something else to do. All right, sounds good. That's Joey D's problem. We got to keep it moving here today, so I'm going to jump us right to viewer
All right.
questions. First question comes from Rich Powelson. When is my dad coming home from getting cigarettes? Probably the same time my dad's coming home from picking up the milk. Moving on. This one comes from Hugo Roy, for Cutsy. Vancouver winning it all or hole in one on Bob Does Sports?
Wow, that is really tough.
Yeah.
I have dreamed about getting a hole in one on Bob to Sports. I have dreamt of it, but I've also dreamt since I was a little kid of the Canucks winning the Stanley Cup, and it's something that I fear I'll never get to watch. Give me the Canucks to win the Stanley Cup, and I'll root for Perez or Bob to get a hole in one, because knowing my wedge game and my short game, I'm probably not getting a hole in one anytime soon anyways. So
Yeah.
give me the Canucks to win the Stanley Cup, and then, I'd be just as happy if Bob or FP or, maybe the Tick makes an appearance and hits a hole in one, or Jet does, that would be pretty epic. That'd be pretty special. I do just want a hole in one for our crew more than anything. And it doesn't really boil down to me wanting to be the one to do it. I mean, I would love that, but I've cheered for the Canucks since I was 4 or 5 years old. So like, they have caused me a lot of heartbreak and a lot of grief and a lot of sadness. So to see them win, man, that would be. I've watched the Packers win the Super Bowl. I've seen, the Italian national team win the World Cup. Those have been like highlights for me, but I've never seen the Canucks ever win the Stanley Cup. That would be an all-time moment.
I think that's a good pick too, because the channel's in a good spot, with like in a very healthy spot without a hole in one. Sure, would it be awesome to get one? But the show is still doing very well. So, I think that the better pick is for the Canucks,
Now,
especially if it's been a childhood dream. I think that's the right pick.
if you said to me, like, you could be the only one to hit a hole in one on Bob to Sports, or the Canucks win the Stanley Cup, as long as you're still in Bob to Sports, that would be very challenging. I might go with the hole in one.
You mean like there's the only way that a hole in one is ever going to happen on the channel is if you hit it, and it's between
Yes.
that or well, I mean, yeah, one's your career and the other one is, just a sports team. So, and he still got the Packers. Yeah, I mean, I could go either way on that. I would easily take the hole in one though from my position, because it would be life changing.
I have a quick question for you before you answer another question. If you had to pick one of your sports teams to watch win between the Sixers, the Phillies, the Flyers, or the Eagles. I mean, you've obviously watched the Eagles win the Super Bowl, but say like someone came to you and was like, one of your teams will win in the next 10 years, and you got to pick who it is, and none of the other teams can win. Who are you picking?
I mean, before the Eagles won, it would have been easily them. And
Yeah.
I'm tempted to even say them again, just because I'm just such a big football fan, and I love the Eagles, and I just love everything about the culture there, and the team, and the tailgates, and the smells, and the everything. I'm just so in love with it. But I would probably say the Sixers, just
Yeah.
because I mean, I used to love them so much, and I still do, but I definitely don't watch basketball the same way I used to. But I just have watched that team try and try and try and get close, but never close enough. And it's been the whole trust the process thing and every
Been
draft.
through the Ben Simmons era.
I feel like the Bears sometimes, the way Mikey talks about the Bears is the way I sometimes feel about the Sixers. They just can't do it. And they're so close yet so far away. So I would probably pick the Sixers because I've seen the Phillies and the Eagles do it, and as much as I love the Flyers, I would pick the Sixers for
Yeah.
sure. All right, next question. Brad Porch, best fast food nugget sauce.
Ooh.
It's an easy one. This is an easy. This is
You're going to
easy.
say McDonald's, but I don't think it is McDonald's. I
No,
think it's.
well, McDonald's isn't a sauce. You have to pick a sauce.
What do
Like
you
you
mean?
have to pick like a honey mustard or
Oh, I thought it's like which fast food chain has the best sauces, is what the question was.
oh, as a collection of sauces, that's a whole different ball game. Um,
I would go.
I still have an easy answer, and it's not McDonald's.
It's Chick-fil-A.
It's Chick-fil-A. Of course, it's Chick-fil-A. They've got the best sauces and the
I'll
number
tell
one
you,
sauce.
it is the number one sauce too. The Chick-fil-A sauce trumps any sauce. I would say Chick-fil-A sauce at one over everything,
Mhm.
and then a close. Well, I don't even know if it's that close, but my second would be the McDonald's honey mustard is really
Oh,
good.
the McDonald's honey mustard is special. And you know what? Sometimes, so this is what I'll do. This is a little gross. Sometimes this is what I'll do. I'll get the sometimes the honey mustard, if I dip something in it too many times, I'll be like, it's getting a little sweet in there. So I'll pair it with the buffalo sauce that McDonald's has, and I'll do a
Oh,
back
I
and
thought you were gonna do
forth.
a
So I get a little
barbecue.
hot, then I get a little sweet, and that's too much information. Um,
I think Chick-fil-A though is your answer to both the question and then the
yeah.
secondary question that I kind of devised out of that.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll do one more and then we'll get out of here. This question comes from Mike Dorval. Go to sub hoagie orders from the deli that will never miss. You're the sandwich guy, so let's hear what you have to say.
Well, like a personal deli or like a chain?
I think he's basically just asking what's like a go-to sub hoagie that just won't miss. Like, what's your go-to custom
I've been
order?
really hot on the Firehouse subs lately. I think they're really good and a little bit underrated. So yeah, the Firehouse.
That's kind of a bad pit. The whole world, you're going to talk about Firehouse? It's
No,
like
we're talking about chains. I thought you said.
no, he just wants to know, build a sandwich. What's your best, like, what's,
Oh, again, I'm misinterpreting the question. I thought
yeah,
you're saying like I have to go to a chain like sub place, either like a Jersey Mike's or like a.
no, like, build your sandwich that just is a can't miss order.
Oh,
Like,
you're just gonna go classic Italian, man. You're gonna go classic
yeah.
Italian across the board. Most places will do like some kind of prosciutto, some kind of like capicola or salami. I always go with the provolone. I think you can't miss with that. And then I really love throwing in those pepperoncini, like those hot banana peppers, maybe
Mm-hmm.
some artichokes in there. Dabble in with a little bit of mayonnaise, maybe or a chipotle mayo. I know that you're a big fan
Yeah.
of that. That
Mm-hmm.
kind of kicks it up into gear a little bit. Maybe a little olive oil and vinegar. Yeah, I think you got a good base for a sandwich right there.
I agree completely. Minus the artichoke thing. I don't need artichoke in there. It's gonna
No,
overwhelm the flavors of a lot of those other things in there.
I think it's
Um,
a complimentary thing. I'm just saying sometimes I'll toss in either
sure.
like artichokes or like a roasted red pepper, or I'll toss in
Mhm.
like the pepperoncini. I think just
Yeah.
a little extra rather than just going with the meat and cheese and lettuce. I think it goes a long way.
Pepperoncini is a very nice play.
Sure
Yeah.
is, my man.
Yeah.
It sure is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much in the same alley. So I would pick a very similar sandwich, but just to talk about another one is what about like, you like a nice like soppressata? Like that's I could do a sandwich with that and maybe like mozzarella, a nice
A
fresh
good, yeah.
tomato,
A good
uh,
toss-up
olive
sandwich too,
oil.
like a change of pace. Like, if you're if you're like a pitcher and like that Italian is your fastball, a good change up, like, is the chicken cutlet sandwich. It always hits home.
Yeah.
Hits home. That's always a
Yeah.
nice little change of pace.
Or like a Milanese
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like a
yeah, the
chicken
chicken
cutlet.
cutlet. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
you could go a few different ways. You could do like a chicken parm or chicken vodka or like a chicken Milanese. Like that's a nice little toss up.
You know what once a year hits really, really good, especially this was like a big Wawa thing I would do, is once a year, maybe twice a year, is like a good roast beef hoagie is just
Yeah, roast beef is great.
it's really, really nice.
You like a good chili or a Philly cheesesteak too.
Yeah, oh well, that's probably my favorite, but I mean, is that a hoagie? I don't no, it's a cheesesteak. It's
I'm saying I think you could pass for it. I
sure
think
with the
throw it in there.
sure, with the peppers and the onion. I love the long hots in there too. I think that's a phenomenal play. But the thing with the cheesesteak is you need a really good, durable, robust bread so it doesn't get soggy,
Yeah.
right? And I like a nice sesame bun myself, like hoagie roll.
Yeah.
Just crusty on the outside, nice and soft on the inside. We got a little fat here with food towards the
We
end.
talk more about food on this show sometimes than sports, man. What is wrong with us?
Or movies. Remember that one episode we went all in on like Star Wars and
Or the one episode we went into parenting with Mikey V. By the way, we really
I
miss
like
Mikey
that.
V. I want to shout out to Mikey V. And you know, I think the thing is when you watch these podcasts, you know, sometimes, you know, and I know the same things you take for granted. Sometimes it's some of these guys like Big Hat, and then for you know, for the every episode they're on every single time. And it's like, you know, there's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff going on, and sometimes you got responsibilities. So kudos to us. We're still making it happen. You're still putting out the episodes, but definitely miss Mikey V. We missed you last week. We got to get an episode with all of us together, and we got to get another episode with a guest on. We're working to get some people on, but another fun one, Tick.
Another good one. Yeah, it's weird saying kudos to us, but sure, kudos to us. Let's give
Give yourself a
ourselves
little pat on the back there, and then get back to work. There's a
Go
lot more
fuck
editing
yourself.
that you gotta do.
Go fuck yourself, you piece of shit.
I might just go and do that right after the show.
Yeah, why don't you jump off a bridge, you ass? Yeah.
I got a patio right there I could jump off of.
Making this goddamn show. You know what? No episode tomorrow. Fuck it. It's done. No episode tomorrow.
Let's go to Florida. Let's go to Seminole.
That'd be nice. Yeah. Yeah. All right. That's another episode of the Sportsman. We appreciate you guys hanging in even when, you know, we're not all here. But that's another good one. Joey D, myself, Ticket, and we will see you guys hopefully with the entire gang or maybe even a guest next week. Till then.